Two experts in ICF.
Yeah.
Decades of experience. One podcast.
Yeah.
Two hosts with a lot to say.
Look, I cannot sit through a struggle. I gotta get up and hustle. I gotta push through the pain, cause really that's how you build muscle.
Welcome to the Build with ICF podcast with your hosts, Trevor Brown and Heather Herring Brown. Yep, they're a package deal. With over 20 years of ICF installation experience, Trevor can throw down some expertise on sales, marketing, and training. On the other side of the table sits Heather, aka the girl boss, and she's earned the title as the owner of an award-winning ICF construction company, a drafting and design company specializing in ICF. And the numbers? With a master's in accounting, she does that too. Sleeves up, boots on. This is the Build with ICF podcast.
I don't want nothing for free. I'm here to work. Been through the dirt. I've been through the dirt, yeah.
And we're back.
And I checked this time. It is episode 14. I'm usually in doubt when I come on and I don't know what episode it's going to be. So it's kind of a crapshoot sometimes of what I'm going to, if I know it's it. But lucky 13 was the waterproofing 101.
Yeah.
So it makes all the sense in the world that we would roll into another waterproofing episode right after that and bring on Brandon Carball with Hulk waterproofing system and get him to talk about what we like to refer to kind of as the fourth option or the hybrid option. And we talked about a little bit. If you listen to the waterproofing 101, we already kind of touched on it. So we thought it'd be good to get a deep dive into it and get deep into that vein with Brandon. So Brandon, thank you for taking some time and being with us here today.
Guys, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
So why don't you start with, give us a little bit bio about yourself. You know, we don't need to know about your parents or, siblings, but if a little bit into the professional life would be great. But tell us a little bit how you got into this and how you ended up where you're at today.
So I was doing custom home building 18 years ago, and we were one of the first companies using ICF in Calgary, Alberta, up here in Canada. And I remember the days when we'd be stuck asking the ICF block company, how do you waterproof this stuff? And they tell us, well, you go get a tarp and you nail it to the wall. And it was a little hard to sell to the inspectors. But,
I can't imagine why.
Those blue tarps are so pretty,
Yeah. And a lot of the coatings would degrade the foam. So I started a company out called Weather Skin Coatings that our focus is on eco-friendly. Back then, we saw that a lot of the patterns that were arising were drops in VOCs and HAPs, which are all the hazardous emissions that come off coatings. And we were seeing certain products get cut from the market that were potentially dangerous to people. So that was our focus, which also led to non-corrosive coatings on foam. But what kickstarted that was actually trying to find a solution to waterproof ICF. And not until Hulk Systems, which we spun out from Weather Skin about 2 years ago, did we have a fully 100% foam safe, ICF safe focus, as well as an environmental coatings line. So that's kind of how it got started, and where the idea came from was just, hey, there really wasn't a lot of solutions for waterproofing ICF, because it was a relatively, it wasn't new, but it was just at the time of it starting to kick and get into new markets. New inspectors were seeing it, new eyes were judging it, being a little critical. So there was definitely a need for solutions that could assist the ICF product in taking more market share. And that's what we wanted to help do.
It's so true. We, for us that have been in, 20 plus years in this industry, part of the battle when we started was the lack of accessory pieces that, and other products and even subcontractors, things working with it. So it was really hard to sell people on stuff that was, they're like, well, now how do we do this? And now how do we do this? And when we, come along, I always use I always refer to Simpson hangers. The day that Simpson hangers started making a floor joist hanger, we're like, oh my God, we've really made it. People are really we have an answer now of how to attach something, and it was, I feel like the evolution of the waterproofing systems have just been kind of along that same line. And it speaks true to, how we met, because it was, literally.
This is a funny story. I love this.
It's just kind of like when you and I talked the first time and you're like, we were talking about, waterproofing and liquid waterproof. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't we don't use it. Like, it's just not for me, man. This is not my thing. We're peel and stick, or we're this or we're that. And you literally said, well, what if we told you could hit it with a hammer? And I was like, I would tell you that because we this one's not my explicit podcast, so I have to say full of crap, but I think I said something else. And you immediately overnighted me a sample and told me to go to town on it. And I just blew my mind. I mean, I think that's probably the big draw point in the ICF world to your product has been, the famous video on YouTube of the guys just going to town on it, office space style on the hammer sample.
You know what might be the funnier part of that story, Trevor, is so we had a team doing the cold calls on our big ICF installer list that we had, and a salesperson in-house. And you were the only one I ever did myself. I picked you just randomly.
Short straw, brother, short straw.
That's an example. And it's probably the best call that we ever made out of the team. Just luck of the draw, yeah. And but yeah, no, the Hulk systems. That's what we wanted, was to create something really durable, essentially a cast. We knew this type of waterproofing system existed in other markets. It's called composite waterproofing. It's when you combine a geotextile with the coating and you have a new material, much like a cast on your arm, right? If we could do that for the foam, it would offer such a greater degree of protection that, you could beat it with a hammer. It's the same idea as a Kevlar vest, a cast on your arm. It's carbon fiber you see used in everywhere from aerospace technology to light rail. So why not bring that over to foundation waterproofing and protection? It's kind of the Cadillac of waterproofing. And for a long time, it only existed at a price point that the Cadillac industry
unattainable.
But then it became a commodity, the textile, and it's been put in a lot of concrete structures and for reinforcement against hurricanes and everything else, all these different environmental disaster protection systems. So the price dropped severely, and we thought, why aren't we putting it on foundations, especially ICF?
Oh, so it's so great. I mean, and like I said, I would go right to that, but I mean, you guys cover a gamut of different products, that are, that's kind of the, one of the more premium, products. But I tell you, we do this all the time, and we do not see a huge price increase by going to that system, to go to the composite system instead of just a liquid, which you can do. I mean, that we use Hulk in many different ways. I mean, full disclosure, I've told people before, Hulk is our waterproofing that we use on all of our projects. So I do, this is why we know quite a bit about this product, but I mean, it happened because of the products, different things about this product, whether it be from the just liquid side to even a 2-coat liquid to the, what we call it our good, better, best. And even we have a bestest now. We call it, we say good is putting on a single coat of Hulk, better would be a 2-coat liquid of Hulk. And then, best would be your Hulk with the composite in, or with the textile in it that creates that hammer proof, technology there. And then the besterest, we like to call it, is you can even add a little bit of sand to the product and shoot it out of a hopper, like a sheetrock hopper, and you can actually create almost a stucco like product with an aggregate, with the sand in it. It creates a textured topping on top of it that will look just, very, very similar to a stucco finish and still have that durability that you can't put a hammer through. We do it in concrete gray and it just looks amazing. So it's, it's not just that composite thing. I know we push that all the time, but you guys offer such an array of from just liquid to that.
Yeah. I mean, Hulk is all about protection. So these products can be used along a wide array of specs, and you're talking about the acrylic waterproofing and how many ways it can be used. And we see that, like a lot of the concrete foundations, they're only being spec'd with 10 to 20 mils of waterproofing. So you just do the single coat, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get that double coat and get the thickness that you would of, say, a sheet membrane, like a peel and stick, you can do the double thick coat. But as opposed to peel and stick, there's not going to be seams, there's not going to be sloughing, there's not going to be any puncture points. or you can add the composite and have what we call the armored system, right? The
Mhm.
the hammer proof, backfill proof system that's nothing's going through that. And it's a huge deterrent too to pests. Nothing really likes to burrow or chew through fiberglass. And it's a deterrent to fire too. That fiberglass is also used to line ovens. So it's got a lot of flame and heat resistance as well.
Well, and then what I like about, using it with the hopper, that besterist, as Trevor called it, you eliminate another step, which is one of the, key benefits of building with ICF is because it does so many things with just that block. It's your framing, it's your sheathing, it's your insulation. It's so many things there in that system. And then when you take the waterproofing on top of it and you complete it with a little bit of sand in the hopper and gray, it's doing your parge coat as well. And so it's just, we're able to do that so much faster, fewer subcontractors, and it ends up, I think, saving time and therefore saving money.
Well, and we can do
less equipment, less vendors.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, because I think there's, with ours, we, obviously we're in an industry with a lot of DIY involved still. I mean, it's obviously got a lot more commercialized, with the contractors, but we still have a lot of people that, may not have the, professional equipment to do this stuff. And that's a great thing is you can pour Hulk into a tray with a roller and do it, with very minimal equipment and, and put the same coating on that way. I mean, it's, obviously for us where we're doing it in bigger numbers, it's faster for us to use a commercial paint sprayer. We're shooting the Titan 1040 if anybody's curious what equipment we use. And it's been a great machine for us. But on smaller jobs where we don't want to roll out or clean up the machine, we'll jump out and just grab a roller and we roll it on and apply it that way. And it's very user friendly for somebody that doesn't even have or need that equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how we designed it. I mean, even down to, the weight and malleability of the textile and how it was woven. Like I didn't want a single fiberglass sliver to ever be in somebody's hand. So we went back and R&D'd even the weave of the textile, I think 5 times. So building the product was exciting as a former installer and somebody that's worked with ICF and waterproofing and all the sheet membranes. It was exciting to see these things come alive and become real, and then get the great feedback that we've had from installers like yourselves and advocates of the brand.
Yeah, it's hands down one of the products that just sells itself. I mean, it's not to say you're not a great salesman, but we don't even need you. It just sells itself. It's legitimately like one of the most self-proving products I've ever worked with, where you just kind of use it and it just makes you realize how good a product it is. And I think hopefully, and we'll have links in the show notes and everybody can check out the website, and I hope they go and watch. I'm going to link to the YouTube channel and everything so they can go look. But, for those that are just listening and haven't looked at it yet, the one thing that people always seem to be surprised with is when you show them that SRT textile and they go, what? They're like, that's not, because in their mind, they're so used to seeing something that looks like a screen on a window, right? It's mesh and you can see through it. And to give the visual over the podcast here is it looks like a silk sheet almost. I mean, you can't see through it. You could hide behind it. It's not see through. It's a very thick, material, but it's very soft. It's a very silky type material. And it's just like nothing I've really seen, but yet it's still porous enough that it soaks into the liquid and actually it seeps through it when you put it on. And it's just a very unique material. And once you kind of see that, you see the difference, right? In the product between that and say other, liquid waterproofing that are out there, but it's pretty impressive stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah. What you see if you ever get a fiberglass tape or other companies have some fiberglass textiles, it's called matting, fiberglass matting. And the little slivers come off and it just looks like cross-hatched threads, basically held together with adhesive. So a lot of people, when they hear that we're using fiberglass, think of that. They don't think of this like woven, very skin-friendly sheet like you're talking about. So it's we love to get that in people's hands. You're right. It does sell itself. Probably the best thing I could do all day is not try and sell it and just create samples and send them out.
make people use it. It's
YouTube videos.
Make YouTube videos. Yeah. And it's just, Exactly. We set it up in our booth, and then we literally bring a hammer to the trade show, and we just let people go to town on it. Because I mean, people just, especially guys, are like, they don't believe it. They're like, "There's no way," and that's the big, kind of the big line in the sand is like, "All right, here's a hammer. Go to town, see what happens." So it's pretty cool.
Well, and I wanted to ask a question because I know we talked about it early on, but it comes in, any colors that you could, get a SKU for or whatever, Sherwin-Williams colors. But you said something to me when we were first researching this, and I can't remember the exact words, but it had to do with the UV safe or resistant, or what was the terminology that you used for the color?
So with Hull, it's got UV blockers in it, and it's an acrylic. Now it's to get an acrylic product to actually be waterproof. So you really have to use top quality resins and whatnot. And that was the challenge. We wanted to bring an acrylic product that was under 1 perm being the threshold of waterproof or water resistant to market. And what none of the other products allow when you're talking about foundation coatings, if you look at the warranties, most of them will say right on there that it's void if you leave that exposed to UV or the sun for more than 24 or 36 hours. Because anything bituminous, the resins dry out. It's the reason we put rocks on tar flat roofs. It's the reason our shingles have sand grit on them, is to prevent that drying of the resin. So if you ever see your classic waterproofing on foundations and it looks kind of like alligator skin, where you could put like card in between the little cavities between the chapping on the coating, which is doing nothing anymore. That's just, it's been exposed to UV, and they usually require it to be backfilled really quick, or they're not even warranting it. Ours is not only the product, but the tints that we have that we can custom tint the product when we're talking about above ground applications. They've all got UV stabilizers and blockers in them. So they have maximum color retention. And that's when we're doing like above grade stucco systems or above grade flat coatings on siding or even on the ICF. You want that resilience against the sun, so your red building doesn't turn pink on the one side.
That's what I think it was. You said it's UV stable rather than just resistant. It's stable too.
Correct. Yeah. Not a lot of people realize, Hulk, that we do a lot of promo in green, but ICF, the common color is gray. You guys use a lot of gray. In the hotter regions, we sell mostly white, because you don't want to put anything with tint on in a desert. It'll affect the block. And that's why most desert communities, you'll see the housing is all tan or light colors. And then we also produce the black for concrete foundations, just because it's what inspectors expect to see. And, and the guys that do the concrete foundations just want to not upset their local inspectors. So
don't piss off the guy with the green tag. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue into
not just green.
Yeah, I do want to get, I know we push this product because this is the product that the SKU that we use the most with you and in the ICF thing. But let's go into a couple of the other products that you use, as far as kind of let you off the leash a little bit here to talk about other cool Hulk products that you guys use, as far as like the cementitious and stuff like that could be used on ICF as well. I know I was up at the plant and I got to you showed me that, and we got to see some pretty cool stuff up there. But maybe you want to touch on some of the other products that people in the ICF world would be able to utilize as well.
Yeah, and I won't go into all of them because Hulk's got quite a wide library of products, but I'll touch on a core couple. STP is much like the acrylic you guys use so much. But STP is really common. Any coastal installers will be familiar with it. So if you're in a climate where, like Oregon or Vancouver, where rain could be imminent and, just appear 10 minutes after it was sunny, it's a coating that can be wet like 4 minutes after it's applied. So STP is a really common substitute to the acrylic along the coast, and we have a foam ICF friendly STP, which makes us stand apart from a lot of the other producers of that coating. We've got a cementitious, which we went over while you were up here, Trevor, and it's a high build product. So if you want to take your block and eliminate the profile and make it look like a concrete wall and give it a lot of structure. You can use that cementitious in the same way. You can embed the textile and do a coat over top of the textile, but it's high build. So it doesn't take the shape of the block. It eliminates any shape, and you can trowel it on and get a flat, smooth surface. And that product is also multifunctional, much like our other products. So it's non-combustible. It can be used in our pool system as the basis for it. It can be used in our stucco system in the place of like a parging or scratch coat or brown coat. And it can be used just as an aesthetic coat when you're doing, say, interior walls of a parkade or elevator shaft that need to be transformed to look like concrete, but also have that non-combustibility rating. And that's a waterproof coating as well. So those are two other coatings that we're really proud of. And then, you get into things like the marine epoxy, which is the next step of the pools. And it's just your finishing liner. So there's a bigger library than what you see right now on the Hulk website. We are building on that website, and we're excited to launch the most up-to-date version, but we like to stick to the core systems, and it's always comes back to waterproofing. We're providing protection against water and fire, specifically for foam.
Well, I love the idea. Like, one of the things that guys ask about a lot, I get a question a lot, is the elevator shafts and stairway shafts and stuff like that for ICF, because there's so many multifamily that are being built now, or even hotels, motels, stuff like that, that's going to have an elevator in it or a stair shaft, and it's got to be fireproofed. And that's one of the things where I've actually had projects I've been involved with where we did ICF around the whole thing, and then they came in and actually did a concrete pour for that elevator shaft or something inside of so it'd be nice to be able to just do the whole thing as an ICF installer, do all the walls, and then just come in and put a coating on that would then get us to where we need to be for that fire rating.
Precisely. So it's always about trying to overcome those challenges, whether it's the build code or fire code or, water code, waterproof codes, overcome those challenges with innovative products and solutions that can, that have multi-purpose results and can be used in a number of systems. We always like to simplify things. So our core products put together make quite a variety of systems.
Well, and I think it's important to note too that, there's a difference between what most people see, when you're talking about, traditional builders and doing a concrete foundation that they're going to build a stick frame house on. What they're doing is damp proofing. So that material is not it's not actually waterproofing. It's a damp proofing method. This is a true waterproofing that is going to keep the water out. So like one of our samples for our trade show kit actually has the damp proofing put on there. And it's crazy how you could actually still put like a business card between, where the footer and the stem wall are with the damp proofing, where you can't do that even with, the one coat of Hulk.
Yeah. If you've ever gone to do a repair on a concrete wall and pulled back the soil, the damp proofing goes with the soil. It doesn't even stay on the wall. I won't talk too much about it.
Well, I will.
If you're going to use the same millage, why not use a waterproofing product? Especially when the cost can be comparative.
Yeah.
And competitive. It's getting the buyers to see. I mean, the ones that guys.
Oh, when my face. Yeah, a little bit there. You faded out for a minute there, but I think you're back.
Yeah, apologies. Yeah, I was saying it's by building samples like the ones you guys created. That's how we show those guys that there's a better way.
Well, I know you'll be nice, but I'll be a little more aggressive. Yeah, I'll be a little more aggressive for you. We go and we show these builders these samples, and we tell them, and we're like, this is what you're like after. And I just like what you said, how the pillowing and different the alligator scale look. I go, this hits any kind of sun, it's going to turn to junk. And then I said, just right now, this one's never been out in the sun, and I can still slide a card under it. I'm like, where do you think the water's going to go? If this business card can get through, water's going to go right into your crawl space. And I actually had multiple builders say, in today's world where everybody's so litigious, they're going to sue everybody, and there's certain builders that have hundreds of houses that are in litigation for having water in the crawl space. So I've even expanded, and I know this is the Build with ICF podcast, but to go, if anybody's listening as a waterproofer or looking at getting into the waterproofing business with this, I highly advise it. And we've got, we, as much as we love ICF, we're still only 10% of the market, so 90% of the market is a stick frame with a traditional stem wall. I have traditional stem wall builders that are contacting us to put Hulk on them because of the trade shows we've been doing to show what it can do on just a standard concrete wall even. And then the one thing that's really impressive is I take a sample of the actual, just the material, both with the liquid and with that, or with the textile and without the textile, and they get to kind of pull on it and feel how strong it is, but yet flexible. Because one thing that people may not understand, especially if you're DIY, listening to this, no matter how much you think your house is going to be solid as a concrete house, that house is going to move a little bit right where the footing and the wall come together. So whether that be an ICF total wall, or you're talking about a stem wall, or wherever that joint between the footer and the stem is, there's going to be some movement in that house somewhere down the line. It may not be for 5 years, it may not be for 10 years, it may be in the first year. But the thing about Hulk being able to be flexible, that house can move a little bit and it's not going to completely break the seal. It's actually going to hold and still be waterproof, layer.
Absolutely. We're not going to guarantee the structure because we don't know how that structure is poured or what it's sitting on, but it does offer some structural stability in the case of a little slippage or some movement, especially with that composite in there.
Yeah.
And when you look at the industry, and with, like the amount of litigation that happens with this stuff, are you really saving money by going with the water dampening and that thin coat when you calculate the risk on the other end?
Yep.
Our marketplace is waterproofing is one part, like new home waterproofing. There's 9-to-1 waterproofing restoration companies with new application waterproofing.
How about just do it right the first time? Yeah.
Yeah. So then that leads me into really, I'm gonna skip to like what we normally ask second, but tell us, a little bit of marketing right here, a little bit of sales, but why Hulk?
Oh, easy protection to protect the ICF block manufacturers, the installers, the builders that are building with it, the end users of these homes. Like people, there's got to be companies looking out for that group of people that are putting a lot of passion into these builds, and they depend on these systems. They're supposed to be defense, not a light skiff of aesthetic that's not doing anything. So we're there really as a protective layer to these builds and these projects.
In so many ways, yeah. From the water and the lawyers.
The water, the lawyers, fire,
Well, and just the inconvenience, that it causes to a homeowner, when they get water in their crawl space or whatever. So it's just a huge benefit. I'm
not trying to start a fight in the sandbox here, but I do want to let people, like, without completely disparaging in other companies, I have had feedback from people when they listen. They do like it when our guest actually kind of explains a little bit the difference between them and their competitors. And so I know we've got some, in full disclosure, we'll have other waterproofing companies on, so it's not going to be just the Hulk show. So they'll come on here and get to say their piece. But is there a little something that when people say, hey, I'm looking at, brand X in the liquid side, or I'm looking at these guys in the peel and stick or whatever, is there something that you feel stands out about Hulk? What's the things that stands out the most about you guys different from, say, your direct competitors?
I think the simplest example that I can think of right now is the insurance company, which backs our warranty and has insurance companies don't back waterproofing product warranties. It's unheard of. But how they put it to me, they said, the best waterproofing in the residential sector requires you to put 10,000 penetrations in your foundation. He said, we will insure a pipeline waterproofing job where there's no seams, no penetrations, and they're using composite wrap before we would insure an 1,100 square foot foundation. a residential foundation, because there's penetrations, there's seams, it slides off the wall, and you got to puncture it. So, and think about that. Would you ever put a bunch of screws through a pipeline for waterproofing?
Right. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Right? No, you would not. And so it hit him saying that example to me was probably that was crystal clear to me that we were onto something, which seems really simple, and it wasn't new. It existed in the pipeline sector and the buried tank and vessel sector. But man, I couldn't believe nobody had brought it forth to ICF or foundations. And so it's really cool to be first to market, and we want to collect as much steam and get as far as we can and be the leaders in that little subsector of composite waterproofing as we can.
Yeah, and I don't see a lot of those guys putting hammers in their booths either when they're displaying. So
No. Well,
So-
yeah, that's the other way. It's good. Go try it.
yeah, exactly. So
Well-
moving on to this question number 2, which is actually question number 1. We're flipping them around a little bit for you, but would you say is your most memorable, whether that be experience, project, something cool that you guys have done at Hulk that really sticks out in your mind that you're proud of, that you thought was kind of a cool project or memory?
I would say we work with up here, we've got Hutterite colonies, and they're these big agricultural communities, and they do massive splits and builds at one time. And they always want on-site personnel from the company there to train them. But when you see them pick it up after, maybe 5 minutes of showing them how to do it, and then they can't come in and instantly they've got kind of their own new ways to do it, and they come up with little tricks within the first hour, but they're loving it. Like it's like playing with a new toy, and the whole colony gets around. And we've had that experience on so many sites with contractors and builders and their teams and their subs. But the colonies, it's always fun because it's always such large groups of people, and they recognize good products. They've been building they've been in construction since, they're knee high to a grasshopper, and they know what they're talking about, and they love it when they find something good. And it's such a good feeling for them to get.
Oh, we faded in and out a little bit again. We got you. Okay, that's right. We caught most of that. We just barely lost you on the end. But I'm gonna actually kind of serve you up a softball here, because I want you to talk about it, because I think it is I would say a memorable thing for me, just in the time I spent up there when you took me by that plant and that you guys were doing on the exterior treatment on the silos.
Yeah. So it's Canada Malt, and we were up against pretty much major billion-dollar coatings brand in North America on that one. And we had to do a sample on the wall and of a concrete restorative system. And we introduced kind of the Hulk pilot system, which is the cementitious to patch the concrete,
Mm-hmm.
and then the cementitious alone without the cement component to prime it. And then you spray it on with a texture hopper, and it protects these giant silos. And we won that bid. They couldn't peel it off. There was no color fading from the sun. There was no sign of cracking or delamination. So we won the bid over every major company we were up against. And it's a very big.
Oh, it's impressive. I mean, it's just impressive to see, because you were able to show me like the damaged ones and what they looked like before and then what they looked like after. And it's just night and day. It was such cool project, and just a lot of work that went into that project. So super cool.
They look like new tanks. We had 150-foot genie booms on that one. It was quite the project over a couple of years now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is cool. All right. And our third and final question, well, not final probably, but our third question that we ask everybody: what are you excited about with Hulk?
I'm excited for everybody to see the new products in action, because there's a lot of projects that are kicking off this spring. A lot of our product line the testing, the specs, all of that got wrapped up kind of right before fall of last year. So branding them and then applying them, we've kind of only just begun this season. So getting those in everybody's hands and seeing all the variety and of like the pools, the EFA stucco systems, the cementitious going onto projects, some of the roof systems we have for foam roofs. I'm just excited for all that multimedia to get out there and people to start sharing it. That's been really awesome to see, is the social media world where it's really taking off, and we're seeing, a lot of these ICF guys post videos and share them and getting a lot of great feedback. So just seeing that momentum continue and meeting new people, that's what I'm most excited about, is meeting the community.
Well, I loved when we were at the Builder Show, it came across my social media, one of the feeds, and it was somebody that had made an ice bath out of the product. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Cold plunge.
Yeah.
Yeah. He, and that was just 4 freestanding pieces of foam. So not ICF.
Not even ICF.
Concrete down the middle or rebar. It's literally 4 loose freestanding pieces of foam, and it holds the pressure of a cold plunge. It was a real testament to the durability and strength of the hull.
Well, and he picks it up and moves it around. Like, it's not even like it's super heavy. Like, he's moving it around and then fill it with water and it gets in it. Like, and then it's got a lid and everything. I mean, it's super cool.
It looks like a concrete tomb. He's either really, really, really strong or it's made of foam, one or the other.
Yeah. But no, it's just a great way to get that information out there, because it's like something that you wouldn't even think about doing. And the fact, like you said, it doesn't even have concrete and rebar in it. It's just pieces of foam. That's insane.
It shows the durability of the actual product. I mean, it's just holding it together. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. But
yeah.
No, and I think
So
pools.
we're excited.
We're
for the pool system for sure.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a whole episode on pools. And I've talked to a couple different people that are just, it's one of the most demanded things. I would say that, we've hit a few of our big question marks that we keep getting. People wanting waterproofing. They want fiberglass rebar. Helix is our next one we got to get on, because we're getting a lot of emails about it. And then pools is up there too. Just tons of people wanting to know about pools, because that's, we're coming into that season. And so, that'll be really exciting. And like I said, after seeing the stuff you've got, I even saw one of the distributors posted on social media. They have a functional pool with even a little pump on it and everything, that they had displayed at their home show over in Oregon, I think it was. But it was pretty cool. Like, just it's man, there's lots of cool stuff on the horizon. So we did pretty good. We went a little over our 30-minute time frame, but I know people wanted to hear about this. This is a pretty cool product. So in closing, I always like to give you a shot. If there's anything else that you didn't touch on, Brandon, you want to mention or anything?
Well, guys, I'd like to mention, it's been just a pleasure working with you guys since day one. You guys have been amazing advocates for our brand and for the product. But I think you've seen the potential in it and seen what it can do. So we're looking forward to offering better service to you guys, and more products and better pricing. That's what we're trying to do every day, is just make it easier for you guys to put on ICF and protect your projects. And that's what we want.
Well, we appreciate it. You guys you're doing a great job. And like I said, I know we've discussed, and there's always growing pains with new companies. I mean, anybody that knows anything about new companies, there's growing pains, and you guys have literally a rocket ship of a product that is going to be, that just is taking off in ridiculous numbers, because anyone that uses it really loves it. And it's been interesting getting in, pretty early with you guys and getting on social media and posting that we're using it. How many people just will reach out even through social media to, hey, is it really that good, kind of deal? And we're definitely here to tell you it's that good. It's a really good product. And anyone that does want to know about it, I'll give a little bit of a shameless plug here. We are doing a Hulk training that we're doing in conjunction with an ICF training that we'll be hosting in Nampa, Idaho, just outside of Boise, Idaho, on the 27th of March. So we'll be doing a full day training. Then part of that training will be the Hulk system. So already getting some people signed up for that, and hoping to fill the warehouse with people to learn. So we're excited to keep getting it out there. We're continuing to bring on new people, new customers, new distributors, new dealers, and I think you guys have got yourself a really cool product here, and I'm excited to see how all that goes.
And Brandon, if people want to reach out to you or follow you on your socials, what are your socials?
It's Hulk Systems is the tag, and you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I think we got Twitter as well.
All right.
Surprised Nikki hasn't got you on TikTok yet. You need a TikTok.
No TikTok. Maybe the kids, the two little girls, are going to get us on TikTok.
Well, we'll put all the links and information and stuff in the link to their website, link to their socials, all that stuff in the show notes. So that'll all be there for you guys. And again, Brandon, just really appreciate you coming on. I think you got a great product. I know it's a huge need in the industry. It's a very, very touchy and important part of the business is waterproofing, and encapsulating that ICF that we spent so much time and money on and putting up. So appreciate you being part of the industry, appreciate you being part of the podcast, and we'll kind of keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hey, grateful for you guys. Thank you for the chance to be on the podcast.
Absolutely. And, as all of our listeners know, you can find us on our socials. Everything is at Build with ICF, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think we do have a TikTok now.
It's there. I have not posted anything, but I did officially get the TikTok set up. Yeah,
and then coming soon on YouTube. We're gonna be posting on that as well here pretty soon.
Yep.
And continue to send in your questions. We really do appreciate everybody listening and sending in their questions to info@buildwithicf.com. And, it's just great show today. Thank you guys both, or thank you, Brandon, and for being on here with us, and look forward to working with you guys some more.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Happy waterproofing.
What's that?
Happy waterproofing.
Happy waterproofing, exactly. All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you on episode 15.